Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kings of Fantasy Football. I'm your co-host Pablo, and here's my co-host.
Leo.
On tonight's episode, we are going to discuss starts slash sits for week 7. So it's players that we think that you should either start or sit. We're going to start off with quarterbacks. So the first quarterback that I would start is going to be Baker Mayfield. He's had 4 consecutive multi-touchdown games, and he's going up against the Ravens, who allow 24 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks, which is third most in the league. So I think he's proven why he is the quarterback number 1 so far in fantasy football. And I think should be able to continue that at home. So that's the first quarterback that I would start. Who's yours, Leo?
Well, that was mine, but I guess you're copying off my paper again. Um, but actually, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper in this week. I'm gonna go with Drake May. Um, he's playing the Jacksonville Jaguars at 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 in Europe in London, and I think he's gonna have a very nice game. The Jacksonville is allowing the most points to quarterbacks this season, and he May uh, had a nice breakout game with throwing 3 touchdowns. So I think that's going to continue going into week 7 for sure.
I like that. I was thinking of doing a bet on him. So he's playing Jacksonville, but I agree. Um, I think with Jacksonville's defense playing the way they have been, and he still put up points against the Texans, even though we beat them. But I think fantasy-wise, he put up enough points to warrant the start. Now, the next quarterback that I would start is going to be Aaron Rodgers. I think that if he doesn't have a breakout game now, he got his old buddy Davante Adams back, then that Jets team is done for the season. You can't have Davante Adams on one side and Garrett Wilson on the other side and him not have a good game. Um, so that's the next quarterback that I would start. What about you?
Interesting. You're not gonna like one of my sets then when we get to that part.
Okay.
um, well, actually, you know what? One of the I think that he's been out for a week or two, and even though he's playing against my team, this might be the week to fire up Anthony Richardson. Even though Miami is top against the quarterbacks, passing, he's gonna do damage to them on the ground. They're horrendous on the ground, and I see him busting at least 20 to 25 points. Anthony Richardson in his return.
Okay. I like that. I think, especially after the time off, he should be firing on all cylinders. So I agree with that. Now, my sits are actually going to be from the same game, which might be a little shocking to you. Um, but it's going to be CJ and Jordan Love. I would sit both of them this week. I think not only Packers front seven, but Houston's front seven is going to cause some problems. Houston's offensive line has not been up to par. Had the most penalties in the NFL. Gotten a little bit better, but playing in Lambeau, really tough. And I just think that both defenses are gonna get the quarterbacks out of the grooves. I'm not saying that they're not gonna put up any points, but I would sit both.
All right.
So those are my sits. Who would you sit?
All right, so one of them we'll just get off since I said you're gonna not gonna like him. I, even though I'm happy that that Davante Adams is reunited with his BFF. This week, uh, to me, I think you have to temper your expectations with Aaron Rodgers. They're gonna be facing the Steelers that they have allowed the fifth fewest points to quarterbacks this season. And so far this season, only one quarterback has gone for over 20 points against him, and that was Dak Prescott. That he needed to do. I don't know if you remember that game that he had to come
Yeah,
back at
like the Superman at the end. Yeah.
yeah. So he was pretty much controlled doing that. Most of the game, and he did most of those points at the end. So I see. You might have a tough time. Going against them. So that's one sit for me. You said you're two already. You want me to go with my other one already?
Yeah. Go back to back.
All right. Yeah, especially since that game's on the road at Pittsburgh too. The other sit is probably the who he's going up against. Russell Wilson. Um,
Hey, look, you're in the
yeah,
same game too.
yeah. Let's just get it over with. Russell. This is gonna be his first game of the season. They are playing the Jets. That they're also tough against the against quarterbacks. They have an overall awesome defense as well. So I think that's gonna cause him some issues in his first game back. Maybe there's like conspiracy theories that they wanna throw Russell Wilson against a tough defense, so he does bad, so then they can put Justin Fields the rest of the year. But we'll see if that's what the conspiracy theories are right. Yeah, because the Jets are allowing the third fewest points against a quarterback. So like I said,
Mhm.
I think he's gonna have a tough time as well.
That's
And
cool. It's funny that both of ours were in the
uh,
same game. So moving on to running backs. First running back that I would start is going to be King Henry. He's facing Tampa Bay, who's just an average run defense, and we've seen, the Ravens just continue to run the ball. I think both him and Lamar are like top 10 in rushing yards, which is crazy. Um, we've seen what they can do uh, running the ball. So to me, Derrick Henry's pretty much a must start. Father Time has been not like most experts are saying, especially for older running backs. So I think I'm just going to continue to start him. So he's my start for running back. Who's yours?
all right, my first start this week at running back is gonna be Tony Pollard. He's been coming on strong the last few games. This week he's going up against Buffalo that are allowing the most fantasy points to running backs this season. They just allowed Brees Hall to run over 100 yards, which is probably his best game of the year. Uh, like they've allowed several players to go over 20 fantasy points this season. Brees Hall, give me a second here. Devon Chain, James Conner was just under at 19 points. Derrick Henry, of course, 37 points, and even Justice Hill had over 20 points on him. So uh, that's a game that they got run all over. So they like I said they're they allow the most points. So and also Tyjae Spears is not going to be playing in this game. I think he's going to be out with a hamstring injury. So that's going to allow Pollard to get even more touches this week.
Pollard's been looking good. Really wish I would have drafted him.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of people were scared from last year, so I don't blame them. I only have him in one league,
uh,
so
yeah. The next running back that I would start is going to be Bijan. He's going up against Seattle, who allow the fifth most fantasy points per game to running backs. They're averaging around 27. Finally, I think he's been coming on as of late with the slow start that a lot of managers were not too happy about. So I think, facing Seattle, who's given up the fifth most, he should continue to rise as far as the rankings and his stock. So I would definitely start Bijan this week. How about you?
Well, let's. I want to throw on a limb and say Javante Williams. I think he's gonna have a great game. Nah, just playing.
And you know, only
uh,
like 27% of owners started him.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I benched him myself, so but it was tough to trust. But no, I don't want to make a joke there. But yeah. So my next running back to start this week is gonna be J.K. Dobbins. He's been phenomenal this year. He's Gus Edwards is out on IR, so that's not only going to give him more touches. He's facing an Arizona team that's allowing the 10th most fantasy points to running backs this season, and that should continue this week. So I think he's going to have another great game.
So you don't think Vidal's gonna take any of his touches? That's what I'm scared of.
Well, he's
Maybe
gonna
one
take
other thing.
some. Yeah, he'll take some, but Dobbins has been, at least with and I prefer that the Vidal does work in there a little bit to save him, because I'm a little scared if they continue to give him a heavy workload to Dobbins. I think he's gonna get hurt. Um,
Hurting him.
but hopefully they manage his touches properly, because I really want to see him what he can do in a full season. So, but yeah, no, Vidal's gonna get some touches, but I still think that they're gonna be able to control the game.
All right. Now moving on to running backs that I would sit. I guess I don't know if you want to count both of these as my two, but I'll probably give a third one just to not cheat. But it's going to be both Lions running backs facing Minnesota's defense, who's allowed the fewest total rushing yards per game. Um, so I think the both David and Gibbs are going to have a tough time, especially being at Minnesota. So I would sit both Gibbs and Montgomery. But again, I'll do like a bonus one. Who would you sit?
Um, one other running back that you probably sure want to start. Now that I saw it, you might want to throw in Austin Eckler in there. Looks like Brian Robinson's going to be out, and he's facing the Carolina Panthers, so he might have a good game
Robinson,
this
bro.
year.
The last update I saw was it was limited,
Yeah,
but who knows?
but yeah, this is something to look at. All right, so let's see here. So my first running back to bench this week is gonna be uh, uh Irving, Bucky Irving. He's been doing really well these last few weeks, but we don't know um if Rashad White is gonna come back in. He's very questionable. He might come in, but also Sean Tucker is he proved to be someone that's gonna getting more touches as well. The coach has already come out and said that this is gonna be pretty much a running back by committee. So that's gonna be a cluster F, if you know what I mean. And they're also playing Baltimore's Ravens defense on top of that. That's gonna be that they're tough to run on. So to me this week, as much as I like the guy, this week you might have to bench Bucky Irving.
Okay, go ahead and do your next one.
My next
Next one to
one.
sit. Yeah.
All right, let's see. I had Gibbs, so you got me scrambling. Uh,
Okay.
as my other as one of my other sits, because I agree with you. They're playing Minnesota's defense, and yeah, they've locked people down for sure. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, we're gonna go. We'll just go with the both the Steelers running backs, mainly not Najee Harris. Like, again, they're playing the Jets defense
The
that
Jets.
they that they're good against the run, and they should probably control them as well.
Right. Now, moving on to wide receivers. First wide receiver I would start is going to be T. Higgins. He has had 31 targets from weeks 4 to 6, got 22 catches. And he's going up against Cleveland's defense, who has not been their normal, um, you know, defense. I know their defensive line's been good, but um, you know, the overall defense has not been what I expected. Even though Philadelphia barely beat them, but the Eagles are a whole different story. So I think um, with Burrow and company, T. Higgins is going to continue to see a lot of targets. Um, so that is the first wide receiver that I would start. What about you?
All right. So the first one that I'm gonna go with actually Jameis Williams. I think he's gonna have a. He's been coming on phenomenally this year. He's only had one game that he's had single digits fantasy points this season, and they're going up against Minnesota Vikings that even though they're awesome against the run, they're horrendous at the on in the secondary, and that's where you could beat them. So that's probably that's where they're going to be attacking in their secondary. And Minnesota's shockingly has actually allowed the most fantasy points to wide receivers this season. So I'm gonna roll with Jamison Williams as one of my starts.
Okay. Next wide receiver that I would start, he pretty much won me my game last week, is going to be Chris Godwin of Tampa Bay. He's facing a Ravens defense that is last against wide receivers. They're allowing 30.2 fantasy points per game, which is probably all because of Jamar Chase, because what I think he put up like 200 yards against them or something crazy like that. Um, and he has been amazing from the slot. I'm really glad I was able to draft him, and he's currently the wide receiver too. So definitely I would start Chris Godwin. Who would you start?
All right, so I'm gonna double down on you know, I don't know. You got to check me if I have all my screws loose in my head, but I'm gonna go with Demario Douglas. Um, Last week, he proved with May that he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. Like I said in the passing game. So and they're gonna go up against Jacksonville, over there and in Europe. So I think he's gonna be a nice flex play. Like I said, he's not someone that you're gonna start over. Amon someone raw. Uh, and stuff like that. But as a flex play, like when you have some tough decisions there, it might be someone that you want to start there as a flex play. I think he might have double-digit targets and hopefully come through for you.
I agree with that. I think with May, he gives all of Patriots receivers, more upside, but I think Douglas is looking like May's number one target, so I agree with the flex play. So moving on to wide receivers that I would sit. The first wide receiver that I would sit is going to be, and maybe you might need to check me for my screws. It's actually going to be DK Metcalf. Atlanta secondary has been really, really good so far. And even though, Metcalf and Gino are having a good year, I think, um, because of how well the secondary has been playing due to the fact that the front seven have been able to get pressure. It's really helped Atlanta's secondary. So um, he's only had about 6 points the last 2 weeks. Metcalf, he probably got more last week because of the calls and the controversy and the toe and all that, but just because of Atlanta secondary, I would say.
All right. My first receiver to sit this week is gonna be Michael Pittman Jr. Even though, like I said, I'm starting. I wanted to start Richardson, Pittman. Even though he's had three good games these past weeks, but all three games have been with Joe Flacco. The first three games that he started with Richardson, he had 7 points, 7.10, 5.10, and 7.60. He just for some reason just can't connect with Richardson. Richardson seems to go throw a little bit deeper than where Michael Pittman usually runs his routes. So for me, and then again they are playing the Dolphins that allow the third fewest points against receivers this season. So for me, Pittman's a sit for me.
Right now, my next sit is going to be Wandale Robinson of the Giants. Looks like Neighbors is going to come back, even though he's been consistent, averaging around 10 points per week. I think Daniel's going to be happy that his number one receiver is back. So unless you want to use him as a low end flex play, but as a wide receiver two that he has been when Neighbors being out, well, I don't expect him to be having those numbers now that Neighbors going to be back. So
All right. My other receiver to sit this week, I think he's gonna have a great season. After he got traded. But this week, it's kind of tough to see. I don't think he's gonna have much time to build some chemistry with Josh Allen, but Amari Cooper, he's someone to probably sit this week. If you have to start him, maybe as a flex play, if I know things, people are by and a lot of injuries and stuff like that. Um, but to me, he's someone to say, they're playing Tennessee, the Tennessee Titans that allow the second fewest points to receivers so far this season, and like like I said, I don't think he's gonna have. I think he's gonna be limited in terms of like not even knowing the offense, to. So I just think that he's gonna have a low game. Maybe he gets up to 10 points, but he's someone to sit for me this week.
I agree. I think it's going to take some time for him to get acclimated to the playbook chemistry. I'm sure he's happy that now he has Josh Allen thrown to him, but I agree, maybe not this first week.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to tight ends. First tight end that I would start is, I guess, from his former team. It's going to be Njoku from the Browns. Now that Amari Cooper has left, um, I think Njoku is going to get some of those targets that normally went to Amari. I don't like, the fact that Watson is still under center, which I don't know how. I saw a stat he's like 0 for 26 on third down. Um, that's crazy. You haven't converted a third down in 26 tries. But fantasy wise, again, I think it's going to help Njoku stop because those targets should be falling to him. Who would you
All right.
start?
That's a good pick. Like I said, we kind of talked about it earlier this week. In the waiver wire, that if you have him, get him because yeah, I think with Cooper gone, yeah, he's gonna have more touches there. One tight end to start up, he find last week, he had his second double digit fantasy points, and I think he's gonna might go for it again. It's gonna be Kyle Pitts. He's steadily coming along with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is getting his getting acclimated very well with the offense in Atlanta, and I think Kyle Pitts will go up produce again as well this week against uh, the Seattle Seahawks. They've uh, they've been vulnerable to the tight end so far this season, and like I said, I think that he's gonna have a good game this week. They're aligned like the sixth most fantasy points to the tight end. So uh, if you have Kyle Pitts, so fire him back up this week.
Okay. Now the next tight end that I would start, um, hmm, I don't know if he's gonna completely repeat his performance, but in his first game back, he got targeted 10 times, 102 yards, which is Evan Ingram. Um, he's playing the Patriots, and I think um, even though they have not allowed a lot of tight ends to be successful, I just think because of Ingram's athletic ability and 10 targets for a tight end in fantasy this year might as well be more than probably a lot of tight ends have seen through this first 6 weeks. So if he's going to be getting that volume of targets, I think he's a must start.
All right.
Who would you start?
Well, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get this guy from under your nose again, Dante Schultz. Um, he's even though he's been getting targets, he just hasn't come through. But I think this week he has a very favorable matchup against Green Bay that are allowing the third most fantasy points, and this week he should get close to 10 fantasy points for you this week. So let's go with Dalton Schultz
Okay,
as my other
I
start.
like that. I feel like, especially now with Nico
Yeah.
being out, some of those targets are going to go his way. Um, Now, first tight end that I would sit is going to be Jaden Reed. Um, Even though a lot of fantasy managers were happy with his performance, 2 weeks ago, I think that facing the Texans, who are fifth in total defense, probably not a.
Who was the tight end you said?
Sorry, not Jaden Reed, though. I'm talking about Kraft.
Okay.
um,
All right, no problem.
they are allowing the fifth lowest yardage total to opposing tight ends this season. Not total defense. So that was Tucker Kraft of Green Bay, where I would sit.
All right, well, you stole my guy again, so I appreciate that. Stop cheating, man. Stop cheating. Like I said, yeah, he's definitely one that to sit for sure. Right? He's yeah, they're facing Houston that they allow the third fewest points, the fantasy points to tight ends for sure. All right, so let's go with Pat Freiermuth. Um, like I said, Russell Wilson, he's there. Freiermuth was building some chemistry with Justin Fields. That he had a couple nice games recently. But now with um with Russell, not sure how that chemistry is gonna go with him. And they're playing the Jets defense that allowed the seventh fewest points to fantasy points to tight end. So to me, Freeman might be someone that you might want to bench this week if you can.
Then was that 2-6 that we did? No, right?
That was my first one.
Okay. So next tight end that I would sit is going to be Sam Laporta, and that's just because of the matchup that I was mentioning. Minnesota's defense is really good. They're at home, so I I would sit Laporta um, for that reason.
Okay.
Who would you sit?
All right. The next tight end that to sit, let's go with Isaiah Likely. Um, Mark Andrews finally had a decent game this past week that he had he finally had scored a touchdown, so he is alive. Uh, so which is nice. Um, but likely has after his first game that he had 12 targets, the most targets that he's had in a week was four. So he's not really being targeted that much. So the only breakout game that he had within after that first game was in week 5 that he was targeted 3 times, but 3 of those catches were for touchdowns. Two were for touchdowns. So kind of got lucky there with the touchdowns there. So like to me it's kind of tough to trust Isaiah Likely this week. Facing Tampa. They're middle of the pack, defending the tight end, and like I said, Andrews just seems like he's coming back a little bit, so someone to bench there.
I agree. I think Andrews is reasserting himself at that. Tight end one, so I don't think like he's going to be getting much any more. Now for defense, we can just do one start, one sit. So
Okay.
I'm going to do both of mine right now. So the defense that I would start, if we talked about it in our episode Monday, it's going to be the Bengals. Bengals are facing Cleveland. Nick Chubb is coming back. Like I was mentioning, I don't think he's going to be getting 30 passes. So for that reason, I think that we should start Bengals defense, and then the defense that I would sit is the Ravens. I think Bucks offense is looking really good. Like I said earlier, Baker's having four multi-touchdown games. They allow the most wide receiver fantasy points. So I would sit Ravens defense. So
Okay.
just start and sit.
Bengals was one of my defenses, but luckily I wrote down 2. So my second defense I'm gonna go with is gonna be the Buffalo Bills. They've been hit or miss, but I think this week that they're facing the Titans with Will Levis, that he's been turning the ball over plenty, and so I think they're gonna be able to come back and produce this week for fantasy managers. My sit this week, I'm gonna go in that game with the Bengals. Just pick the other team, the Browns. The Browns have, even though that they have a good defense, but the Bengals offense has been humming lately. Chase is coming through with Joe Burrow, so that's someone to sit. And another sit I have is the Seahawks versus the Falcons. They're traveling to Atlanta, and like kind of mentioned, Atlanta's been coming together. Their offense, so they might have a little bit of an issue controlling Atlanta's offense. That might be a possible shootout, to be honest.
Like that. Agree. Like you said, Bengals have been doing good, so I don't know how the Browns are going to be able to handle that firepower. Even Chase Brown, man, I feel like their running game's even coming into fruition as of late. And then yeah, man, Kirk O'Chains might come through in Seattle. So, thank you everyone for tuning in on our week 7 start/sit episode. You guys can give us a follow, share the podcast. If you have any questions, you can reach me at Arch Reaper, which is ARCHREAPR. Where can they reach you, Leo?
All right, thanks for everyone for listening, and if you have any questions, you can reach me on X at Smooth1074. If you like the show, like it, subscribe, tell a friend. That helps us leave a comment. Only good comments, of course. But thanks everyone for listening, and good luck everyone out there.
Like everyone, thank you.
Peace.